So in between all of my crazy making life of having fun dancing and putting on costumes and being in theater and movies and all the fun, exciting stuff, I like to sit and be boring. And one of my favorite things is to research words. So I thought I would share this word because today is Sunday. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Anyways, Sunday. And it's May 3rd, 2020. So coronavirus, lockdown, excitement. The English language took its names for the months of the year from Latin by way of French, sometime around the year 1000, with the great influx of French and scholarly Latin words into Britain, along with the coming of the Normans. Normans are like the Saxons from Normandy, so people traveled a lot back then, just like they do today. But the names for the days of the week are strictly Germanic, although even there they were not immune to the Latin influence. Nobody's immune to Latin influence. Who doesn't like Latin music? That's sexy. And Latin romance languages. Earlier writers have speculated that the idea of dividing the week into 7 days goes back much earlier than the Romans, possibly to the Babylonians. Well, yeah, because Jewish people are connected to Babylon and Sumerians and all those tribes that roamed around and moved, Mongol and all that stuff. They at some point associated the days with the 7 known planets. That is the 7 heavenly bodies then known to move through the sky. It was during the late pre-Christian period that the Romans adopted this 7-day week, giving Latin names to the days. Now, I might not be pronouncing these correctly, but Solus dies, Sun's day. Lunae dies, Moon's day. So you get lunatic, lunar. Martis dies, Mars. Mercurii dies, that would be Mercury. Jovis dies, Jupiter or Jove. By Jove, that's the Latin god for Zeus, the big god. And then you have Veneris dies, Venus. That's also where you get venereal disease. And to venerate and all that. Saturni dies, Saturn. In Latin, the names of the planets other than the sun and moon were also names of gods, and these days were dedicated to their gods. See also jovial. In the Romance languages that grew out of Latin, the Latin influence is still strong. In modern French, for example, we find obvious evidence of the Latin forms in the weekday names lundi, that'd be Monday, mardi, mercredi, judi, and vendredi. The weekend names of more religious significance were rebaptized Samadai for Saturday, a word related to the word Sabbath, and Dimanche for Sunday, from a Latin phrase meaning the Lord's Day. The early Germanic peoples were also influenced by the Roman culture with which they had contact. And from the Romans, they took the names for the days of the week. But instead of borrowing the Latin names, these peoples translated the Latin names into the Germanic equivalents. Thus, Solus dies, Sun's day, was translated to a compound that eventually yielded the Old English Sunendag, from Suna, sun, and dog, day. Lunae dies was translated to something that yielded Old English Monundag, Mona, moon, and dog, day. But here, the translating took an interesting turn. Since the other days of the week were named for Roman gods, the Germanic people substituted the names of their own gods having similar qualities or characteristics. For example, the Roman god Mars was considered the god of war. For the Germanic people, this position was taken by the god Tyr, spelled T-I-W in Old English. Tyr. Thus, when Mars Day was translated into the Germanic languages, it became Tuesday, Tuesdag, where we get Tuesday, the Old English. Mercury became associated with the Germanic god Odin, Woden in Old English, perhaps by the Romans themselves. That was where you get Woden's Day, Wednesday. And thus Mercury dies was taken into the Germanic language in a way that gave us Woden's Day. In like manner, the Germanic people substituted the name of the thunder god Thor for the Roman god Jupiter or Jove, creating Thor's Dagur in Old Norse, which came into Old English as Thursdag, Thor's Day. And their Frigg, the wife of Odin, for the Roman Venus to yield Friggdag. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Frigg's Day or Friday. The Germanic people apparently had no other god to equate with Saturn, the Roman god of seed and sowing. So the Latin name of the day was merely translated, giving us Saturndag or Saturdag in Old English for our modern Saturday. So I like this stuff. It's boring to some people, but to me it's fascinating. And since today is May 3rd and the words at play, this is interesting, I think. I start my week with Wednesday. There is only one day of the week I dislike, and that is Tuesday, for the good reason given here. I start my week with Wednesday, for it is easy to find words beginning with wed. Well, 3. Wed itself, wedding, and wedge. So Wednesday's a great day to get married. And if you marry a Ness, you could wed Ness on that day. A nester, an empty nester. You should get married to an empty nester on Wednesday. The next day, Thur, gives Thurber as well as 2 incense words, thurible and thurify. There's Thurgood, and yeah, Thur's a good day too. Fry is no problem either. Fricassee and frizzle are good ones that day. And as for sat, why, there are dozens of sat words, some rather ugly. Satan, saturnine, satyriasis, for instance, and sun yields sunder, sundry, and sunk. This is a Sundays today. So I hope you enjoy sundry activities as you get sunk financially and just sunk something. While mun is as rich in words as sat. Of these, money is my favorite. Monotone, monopoly, monogamy. I like lots of mun names. Mun is fun. But two is a stopper. I know no words beginning with two, but tubor. I will defend, the motto of Michigan. And to iron, a pair of blacksmith tongs, which is why I start my week with Wednesday. So every day of the week is the beginning of a week for me, because each day is the same. Here's another one. This is the Children's Almanac of Words play. May 3rd, Onomatopoeia. So, streams babble, chains clink. What is the name for words like buzz, cuckoo, and hiss, which sounds like what they mean? It is onomatopoeia, or onomatopoeia, which comes from 2 Greek words meaning to coin names. So we have coronaphobia. I got over my maledictophobia, my fear of bad words and bad names. But anyways, to coin names. This poem points out that the sounds made by cats and cows do not sound the same to the English as they do to Americans. I know this. I was married to an Englishman. They pronounce things differently. Philological. The British puss demurely mews, his transatlantic kin meow. The kine in Minnesota moo. Not so the gentle Devon cows. They low, as every schoolchild ought to know. By John Updike. The onomatopoeic sounds. The onomatopoeic sounds here are strung together with rhyme, but without reason. Oh, so a kine was once the usual plural of cow, but most people just say cows nowadays. Village afternoon. Streams babble, chains clink, katydid bobolink, whippoorwill chickadee endlessly. Call katydid bobolink, whippoorwill chickadee, crack whip yap dog, clop doggin jog jog, whinny mare bleat goat, baa sheep oink stoat, horn a hoot, snake a hiss, frog a croak, girl a kiss. Beat hearts creak bones, clish maclaver cluck crones, Kodaks clicking, dentures clacking, birds a twitter, ducks quacking. Listen how the skylark savors, amid demise McQuavers. So I like to play with words, obviously, and they sound, I love the sounds of words. And that's just what I do as I mind my own business during the coronavirus lockdown.